Well, I suppose I've known him all my life.
Let me see.
7 years.
5 years.
Like 25 years, 26 years.
We started coming to First Baptist in about 1985 or 86, so...
Say about 16 years probably.
24, 25 years, something like that.
That would be 85, 95, 205.
Rachel's 37. Okay, back it up.
212s, that'd be about 27 years. I'm a math major, so if I miss that by 1 or 2, just take that into consideration.
If Rachel's 37, then I've known Pastor about 32 years.
Going on 10 years.
Rachel likes people know that she's 37.
Well, we've known Pastor Miller for 25 years.
Known Pastor Miller about 12 years.
So it's been about 20 years.
I think it's been 2 years.
I've known Pastor Miller for 3 years since I did my internship here.
Well, my favorite thing is that he's my uncle, and I enjoyed growing up with him. But my favorite thing about him as my pastor is I really appreciate that he preaches God's Word unashamedly. I mean, he preaches it as it is, not apologetically. He just, tells it like it is.
My favorite thing is why we came here. He preaches the Word in season and out, and he's just been faithful all these years to stay in the Word, and it blesses me.
Favorite thing about Pastor Miller? Maybe his steadfastness. He's just always even keel. You never have to worry, no matter what you do, that he's going to get angry.
I would say my favorite thing is Pastor's steadfastness. Just always even and always has a good word to say.
Even keel, he's not up, he's not down, he's very steadfast, and you always know what to expect with Pastor.
Well, my favorite thing is that there are several different kinds of preachers. There are some that are very flowery and have some nice poetic kind of speaking. In his case, what I like best about him is he's an educational pastor, and that fits me probably the best.
He teaches us.
Well, I really like that he's very approachable.
He's very easy to go to. He's always willing to take time when you have a question or willing to set up a time if he doesn't have, long enough to talk right then. But yeah, he and Liz both are real good that way. Yeah.
He's always been there for me. Time I need to talk to him, he's just always there. Of course, being his church secretary, I can go to him anytime. So, fortunately, I just open the door and say, Pastor.
Well, he seems to always be willing to listen, spending time with you when you ever need him for anything. Seems very compassionate, kind, good sense of humor, and when I was in the hospital for 3 operations, he was always there first thing in the morning.
I have 2 things about Pastor that I have just always appreciated. Number 1 is his character, and number 2 is his integrity.
Well, as his assistant, he's very supportive of me. He always has my back.
My favorite thing about Pastor Miller is definitely that he lets me know about all the deals that are going on in town. I can expect to get at least 1 text per week about something Culver's is doing or something that Chick-fil-A is doing. And usually it involves us going out as staff, so probably my favorite thing.
Passionate, exuberant.
Kind, caring, faithful, loving, and a good shepherd.
Effervescent, enthusiastic.
Poised, calm, serene, unrattled, unshaken, faithful.
Oh, this was serious? Steady, consistent. I'm trying to think of things that other people might not have said, and one of the things that I've always said about him is he's very soft-spoken. He has a very good speaking voice.
He is kind, he's generous, he is steadfast, he's unflappable, he is even. I think he's just got a lot of mercy. He shows mercy in situations that I'm not sure I'd have the grace to show mercy in.
Just even keel, very keeps his poise. You know, just when you think you can rattle him or maybe get him off his quote-unquote game, somehow he just manages to subdue it and just keep moving on, and yet still be productive about it.
He has humor that I've seen.
Deliberate. He thinks about everything before he does them, so I would say deliberate's maybe number one.
Slow. That's the first thing that came to mind. I'm sorry. And sometimes that's a really good thing.
Faithful, consistent, plodding.
Giving, he's very generous. He and Liz are both very generous as far as giving to others of their time, their money.
Gracious, compassionate.
Definitely meek. He's a humble man.
Meek, because he has a lot of inner strength, and but he's very controlled, even-tempered, even-keeled.
A man of integrity, honesty, and strength. He's kind and compassionate, caring, good listener.
Very compassionate, very willing to visit anybody that's in the hospital, very intelligent.
I think he's very thoughtful and kind and caring, and he's faithful in preaching the Word of God.
Most of his teaching and his messages are words of wisdom.
I remember at one of the school functions, orientations, he said that he hears parents say that, well, I just want my children to be normal. And he said, so I looked up the word normal in a dictionary, and it says average. And he said, at our school, we don't want the children to be average. And I've used that with my two boys since then. I've told them, you know, you don't want to be average. You want to be above average in everything you do.
Something that he said once that really stayed with me over the years, and it's really more about parents and children. I like that he said, we tend with our children to say, when you grow up you might be this or this or this, and maybe the Lord will call you into ministry. And he said, rather shouldn't we be thinking, what ministry might the Lord call my child into, and maybe he'll call him into secular work. And that just really impressed me. I thought, yeah, we kind of have it backwards. And that's just stayed with me over the years.
Well, I really appreciate that Pastor Miller is always willing and open to anybody that is related to him, especially in the congregation, following God's will, even if it means hurt to everybody else as far as separating from and having to leave. But I really appreciate that he's willing to see God's will be done, even if it's not particularly in his best interest.
He said to me, God is seldom early, but never late. And that proved to be true for us, and that really, really stuck with me.
Well, to always trust in him, in the Lord, I mean, not in Pastor.
Well, he has told me more than one time, always be willing to apologize, always be willing to admit when you're wrong, and to go back and ask people to forgive you.
You can choose to sin, but you cannot choose the consequences. And another one I think is from Pastor, I'm not sure specifically, but along the same line, sin will take you further and cost you more than what you ever intended to pay.
There's one, but I wasn't an eyewitness, so I'm a little, I'll just qualify it that way. And I will name names in this story, but Gary Schrader, and this, hopefully it's not an urban legend, Gary Schrader once put animal crackers in the communion plate. And pastor, so the story goes, lifted the lid up, looked at it, never blinked, just set it aside and moved right on. Gary, is that true?
I remember when Callie and I were driving one night, and we happened to pull into Krispy Kreme because the light was on. And as we were pulling into the parking spot, I looked over and I saw the infamous sign that Pastor Miller was present, and that was the 90-degree back-in. Now, the 90-degree back-in is, you see this car that is, of course, backed into the parking space rather than just pulling in normally. And I don't know another single human being on earth that always uses the 90-degree back-in. And he tells us it's because he hits fewer people that way backing in rather than backing out, which makes perfect sense. But anyway, we pulled up to this Krispy Kreme and looked over and saw him sitting in his car and not really sure what he was doing there. But I thought I would play a little integrity test on him, and I texted him and actually asked him where he was at the moment, just to see what he would say. And he said, well, just getting myself some refreshment or something to that degree. And so we said, okay, all right. At least I went to go work for a man of integrity. I was happy about that. But then I happened to say, how about you, after that I said, so you enjoying the Krispy Kreme donuts that you got right there? And it was great because all of a sudden he looks up from his text and he looks through the windshield and looks around, and then he looks over and sees me, and and then he just kind of did his little Pastor Miller laugh, and one of my favorite moments of Pastor Miller.
Ooh, jump and shout for Pastor.
Pretty sure that won't happen.
I'm guessing that if... I'm not sure.
Maybe a hot foot.
Boy, I tell you, I don't know what would make Pastor Miller jump and shout. I can't even imagine him jumping and shouting.
No matter what, don't think that's gonna happen.
You know, if the animal crackers didn't do it, I'm not sure if anything will.
He has threatened that before he retires, he's gonna insult people by, slamming all different kinds of things and get emotional, but I don't believe it.
I can't imagine. It just seems impossible. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I'm not sure that anything could.
Nothing here on earth would make him jump and shout. Probably the only thing, someday when he meets Jesus, he'll jump and shout.
The second coming would probably be the closest thing, but yeah, I've never known him to jump and shout.
I would think if we had our church full of pews, or people in all the pews, and our church was full, we might be able to get him to shout.
He might if, the White Sox won the World Series or something. But other than that, maybe if Notre Dame won, but I really can't see him jumping and shouting for anything.
Well, you just tell him that the Krispy Kreme light is on, and have I seen it? No. He's very secretive. He's a private person. I text him, and then one of these days I'll get it to work on his phone where I can actually see what he looks like when he receives his text, because I'm sure he receives the text, sees the light is on, looks both ways, and then he jumps for joy. Just to make sure nobody sees that, but I'm sure it's when the Krispy Kreme light's on.
He would definitely be Captain America.
I would say Captain America.
Captain America was living, during World War II, which Pastor was living during World War II.
Just because he can, come from somewhere and be able to, and maybe you're not expecting him to be there, but then he shows up and he can help you fix your problem or whatever.
He is very patriotic, like Captain America.
He'd definitely be underdog. It's just somebody, he's always there. People might overlook him or underestimate him, but he's a strong man.
Superman. Because on the outside, he appears to be a mild-mannered Clark Kent. But inside, God's given him a spiritual strength that I think people can lean on and depend on.
Well, for those of you that are old enough to know, underdog, because no matter what goes wrong, Pastor always is sticking in there fighting. So, underdog.
I don't know, somebody like Superman.
I'd hope it'd be Superman because that's the best superhero out there. So it's got to be. I've never seen the S on his chest, but I'm guessing that that's what it's there somewhere.
You have this calm, quiet, in the background, unassuming.
I would just say Superman, just because he does so many things in the church that people don't see like I see.
And then nobody would ever guess that that was really Pastor, unless there was a big P on his chest or something.
I think a perfect one for Pastor would be the Incredible Hulk. Because we would all love to see him angry.
Possibly Mighty Mouse.
Oh, Pastor Miller is Batman. Not if he did. He is Batman.
It may sound kind of odd. I'm going to go with Robin.
Batman.
Except he was a boy wonder.
I mean, there's no reason that we could ever figure that he's not. I mean, we know he's not there during the day in the office, and Julie never knows when he's coming in or not. For all we know, he's resting up from the injuries from the night before his, thrashing of the villains of South Bend and Mishawaka. And he works so well at night. You pass by and you see him in his office. Those just happen to be the nights that crime is not at its highest. So, yes, Pastor Miller is Batman.
Well, there have been so many.
I don't know them all.
Unfortunately, everything that comes to mind is a little sarcastic.
Pastor's crazy, crazy.
A lot of M&Ms. He eats a lot of M&Ms.
Rambunctious, running around.
He likes candy. A lot of times when I've gone in there are cookies. He's eating candy or cookies.
Okay, it's got to be Diet Coke would be
Sometimes he'll say jokes that I don't understand.
I too was leaning towards a shower. Yes, that would be nice.
I don't think we can appreciate Pastor Miller and his years of service without taking some time to appreciate Liz as well. And I would certainly say that when Pastor found Liz, he was certainly marrying up because of her qualities and her abilities. But I don't know for sure what Liz was thinking about. But over the years, it certainly has worked out. And in Liz's case, it's probably true, love is blind.
I wanted to say something about Mrs. Miller. Behind every great man is a great wife, and in her case, she's a great wife.
I would just like to say a big thank you to Liz. I know ministry is a team, and this is about honoring Pastor, but Liz, we want to honor you too. And I love the way that you loved our kids as they were growing up, and were such an encourager to them. So thank you for working with our kids, and I know they weren't always easy to work with, and you blessed us with that. Thank you.